Hey. Ty found the out of this world story from our space. When it comes to helping a partner manage postpartum depression, what you do matters significantly. What you think might help might not. It may even make things worse. Today on our space, you can't fix someone else's depression, but you don't have to be an a-hole. I, 28 male, don't know how to tell my wife, 24 female, that I cheated on her while she had postpartum depression. I know I'm a POS, and I don't deserve my wife and our two beautiful sons, 4 and 2. I know that by telling her this will be the end of our marriage, she will not forgive me. There will be no talking through it. She will tell me to pack my bags and leave immediately. I can't live with the guilt of not telling her, but I can't live without her. I don't know what to do. Basically, my wife and I always wanted a traditional family. I would go to work and she would stay home with the kids. We both always wanted a large family, a house in the suburbs, a dog, the whole thing. We got married when she was 19 and I was 23. She got pregnant right away, and our first son was born 9 months to the day after our wedding. He was such an easy, happy baby. We were all so happy. My wife was super passionate about cooking, arts and crafts, and home decor. Our home was always spotless, despite having a baby and dog. We had a great marriage and a healthy sex life. We were both naive enough to think that being parents was always going to be easy. We started trying for another as soon as the doctor cleared us. It took about 8 months for her to get pregnant, which stressed her out a lot because she got pregnant so easily with her first. This pregnancy was different. She had no energy. She gained a lot of weight and was unrecognizable. With her first son, she only had a small bump, and you wouldn't have even known she was pregnant if you saw her from behind, or if she was wearing an oversized shirt. With this pregnancy, she blew up like a balloon. Her face and feet were swollen. I sound like an a-hole for saying this, but she looked like a monster. We didn't have sex for the entire pregnancy. Sometimes she would try to initiate, but I always turned her down because I was repulsed by her. She had a difficult birth and her son was born with some health issues. Relatively minor, thankfully, but enough to give us a scare. My wife blamed herself for her son's health issues. In the heat of the moment, I told her that if she had been more active during pregnancy, then her son probably would have been fine. She just kept sinking further and further into depression. She stopped brushing her hair and it started to mat. I would come home from work at 5 p.m. to find her older son still in his pajamas. The dirty dishes were piled a mile high in the sink. She stopped showering regularly, and she refused to go on a jog to lose the baby weight, even though I tried to encourage her by saying I'd cook dinner if she did. Our son's physical needs were being met, but emotionally, she was checked out. I started fantasizing about being single and not having a wife or kids. I started going to the gym and the bar after work instead of going home to them. I met Cassidy, 19 female, at the gym, and we really hit it off. She was vocal about never wanting kids, and when I would complain about my wife to her, she would pile on too. I was happy at the time because I wanted someone to validate me for being such an a-hole, but looking back, I'm disgusted. Pretty soon, Cassidy and I were dating, and I was having a whole separate life behind my wife's back. After a few months, my wife slowly started to return to her old self. She started taking more pride in her appearance and started cooking from scratch again instead of ordering takeout or frozen food. Our home was clean again and our younger son's health issues were improving. I fell in love with her all over again. I started to realize that Cassidy wasn't as exciting and interesting as I thought she was. She was actually quite dull and stupid and had no real opinions or interests outside of partying and TikTok. I started to suspect that she didn't actually like me either and was just flattered by the attention of a married man, and I stupidly enable it by making her feel special and better than my wife. I ended things with her a few months later, and she didn't even seem to care. All in, I was shitting on my wife for just over a year. My wife has recently started asking to try for a third baby, and the guilt all just hit me at once. I feel paralyzed. I have nightmares that she finds out from someone else. I've stopped eating and sleeping. I'm starting to get aches and pains from the stress. I don't know what to do. I know I'm an a-hole. I know I don't deserve her, but I don't know how to tell her without breaking her. She's amazing and she never deserved this. Let's get some more context from some other notable comments. Do you understand that you were the primary cause of her postpartum depression? When she told you she felt that it was her fault your son had health issues, that was your cue to console her and tell her that there was no way for her to have prevented it. I can't even imagine the guilt spiral that comment must have sent her on, you selfish, inconsiderate piece of trash. Don't you effing dare knock her up again without telling her what you've done. She can't count on you and you know it. You're a horrible man. You can see that she's drowning, but you'll only help if she jogs so you won't be repulsed by her. Then double down on that crappiness by staying away even more so she doesn't even have the minuscule help you were giving. Then decided to screw a teenager 7 years younger than you instead of helping your wife. And then when you were no longer repulsed by your wife, you turn your woman-hating energy on the teenager you sought out. Let your wife go. Don't fight on giving her a fair settlement. She deserves more than half of your stuff as well as you helping her get training for a job. And let her find a man that's not horrible and doesn't conditionally love her. And for F's sake, don't have another kid. You'll just go do the same crap to her again. No advice, just hope you never have even a single good day ever again. You didn't end your affair because it was wrong. You ended it because your wife found the strength to crawl out of the pit you left her floundering in alone. When she needed you the most, you bailed. She's a strong woman, but you are a weak man. The guilt is what you get to live with for the rest of your life. You're an absolute abhorrent person. Your wife was so depressed her hair was matted. I want you to think about that for a few minutes. Think about how low and terrible she must have felt to get to that point. Instead of being a kind, compassionate, caring partner and helping her get better, you went out and found someone barely legal to sleep with. I hope you leave your butt and find someone who will love her because you do not. You love what she gives you. You love what she does for you. You do not love her. Did you even try to get her help with the postpartum depression? Good Lord. If the guilt is eating you alive, tell her everything, all at once. No trickle-truthing, no downplaying or minimizing. Apologize, commit to therapy, offer a post-nub, whatever you think would help her to get through the implosion. Then the ball is in her court, and it's her choice whether to kick you to the curb. Here's what you do. Pack some of your bags and then tell her so when she tells you to F off, you don't have to stick around for as long. Maybe stock up on essentials for the house first as well, so while she's dealing with her heart being effing broken, she doesn't have to severely worry about it affording essentials without you on top of hurting due to you. Also, F you. You're part of the reasons why women get so worried these things will happen to them. There's nothing here that demonstrates you love your wife, and plenty that shows you never did. My mouth was hanging open the whole time reading this. I feel so disgusted by your actions and so terrible for your wife that I have no advice to give. I think there's a lot of valid points in these comments, OP. What you did is inexcusable. It sounds like you gave up on your wife and family when they needed you the most. Postpartum depression isn't easy. It's hell. You have a very important role in helping your partner recover, and there are many simple, straightforward steps you can take to make that happen. Postpartum depression is a serious mental condition that requires professional help. It is not your responsibility to diagnose your partner, and you are not their therapist. Postpartum depression is partly caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain that often requires medical treatment, and it's not your job to tackle that aspect of it. However, you do have a critical role to play in supporting your partner and helping them cope with their diagnosis. Update. I, 28 male, don't know how to tell my wife, 24 female, that I cheated on her while she had postpartum depression. I really didn't expect the last post to blow up so much and even reach TikTok. I'm just going to post an update, and then I'll probably delete this account. As for somebody's advice, I took the day off work, dropped her 2 sons off at their grandparents' house, and sat my wife down. I came fully clean. I made no excuses, told her I didn't expect forgiveness and that she had every right to say or do whatever she wanted. She didn't respond for a while, but then very softly and quietly told me that she wanted me out of the house the next day and that we were done. She didn't scream or cry or show any emotion. I asked her if she wanted to say anything else, and she said no. I told her I was sorry, and she said she didn't want to hear it. We sat in silence for what felt like forever, while she stared blankly into space. When her sons came home, seeing how expertly she was able to put on a brave face and not let them know anything was wrong broke my heart. It hit me like a ton of bricks that she was used to doing this, and it was all my fault. I slept in the guest room that night, but didn't get much sleep. The next morning, our older son asked me why Mommy was crying again last night and said he wanted to cheer her up. My wife refuses to speak to me, look at me, or acknowledge me in any way. I heard her on the phone to her best friend who lives in another country. She told her that she thought she had found a good one, and that was going to break the mold. Her grandfather walked out and left her grandma with nothing. Her dad walked out, left her mom with nothing. I'm a piece of crap, just like every other man in her life. I left today and she didn't even look at me or say anything. She just continued watching TV and crocheting as if nothing was happening. I'm staying at my parents' house and they are disgusted with me. My mom cried when I told her. They love my wife like their own daughter. I let everybody down. I deserve everything coming my way. Here's some other noteworthy comments. Get some therapy. Try to act like a decent person during the divorce and focus on being the best co-parent you can be. You hurt her, seriously and unforgivably. What little control she gets to have now is how she chooses to deal with this. Well, congrats. You lost your wife, and we'll see your sons 50% of the time at best. I'm staying at my parents' house and they are disgusted with me. Were they supposed to congratulate you? Mom cried when I told her. Poor woman probably thinks how she messed up for her son to cheat on his wife while she had postpartum depression. You destroyed your wife, your parents, and your kids with your cheating. I hope that, Cassidy, was worth it. Aw, everybody look at the sob story from the guy who does, in fact, deserve all of this. Wow, you couldn't keep your dick out of someone else while your wife was suffering with postpartum depression after birthing your child? What a stand-up guy. Look, everyone. He's sad his now ex-wife didn't cry and beg him to stay. Gross, dude. Really effing gross. You aren't sorry. You're reveling and being the worst person in the world. Your entire focus continues to be on yourself. Your entire post is about how her response made you feel. Nowhere do you state that you intend to make amends, a critical component of true contrition. The only remorse you seem to have is how bad this is making you feel. You made the utterly selfish choice of telling your wife to alleviate your guilt, not for her sake. Why weren't you willing to live with the guilt? Because, just like your decision to cheat, you were only thinking about yourself, what you wanted, and what felt good for you. Although your marriage is obviously over, or should be, if you wanted to begin to be a decent person, you'd be focused on how to make amends, how to make the situation easier on your ex-wife, and most importantly, how to ease the transition into a broken home for your children. How good of you to run away to your parents and leave all the hard work for your wife. OP, you really didn't do your wife and family any favors. Your main role when dealing with your spouse's postpartum depression is to be a listener and provide a safe space, and it seems as though you failed to do that. I hope your ex has a supportive team behind her while the two of you navigate the separation. What are your thoughts on OP's confession? Thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. Oh, and if you want to listen to more stories from me, check out our lounge, where I feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.